Next, I want you to do about a 15-minute video using the Pearson CCNA Simulator Lite. That's all I want. So in this video, I'm going to get you started and turn you loose. Let's jump in. I want to tell you where we're headed, but it's short and sweet. So what is it? I'm going to tell you how to navigate to find this configuration scenario lab. I'm going to demo the first few steps to get you started, and then I'm going to tell you to go do it. All right, let's do that. So how do you get to the right lab? Well, let me give you some context first. There is a full paid product that you don't need to go get. You can, but you don't need to for this purpose, all right? It's called the CCNA 200-301 Network Simulator, but I'll call it the Pearson Network Simulator just to make sure you get that it's from Pearson, which is the parent company that makes Cisco Press products. So it's a simulator you buy from them, all right? And the thing that's really different about it is it has all these lab exercises integrated into it, beyond the fact that it lets you do lab exercises and it has a command line interface and you can use Cisco commands and learn. So you can buy it at ciscopress.com. But what they've done is to give you an inducement to buy the full product is they've made a couple of free versions. So there's a free version associated with Volume 1 and a different free version associated with Volume 2. Both of these light and free versions, they're the same software as the full paid product. They just have fewer labs than the full paid product. The one for Volume 1 has some labs appropriate for Volume 1, and for Volume 2, labs appropriate for Volume 2. So they just made that so you'll try out their product for free, and then if you like it, maybe you'll buy it, all right? For us, that means if you have the books, then you have the right to use these light versions for free, and I can tell you to go do those labs without you having to spend any more money. All right, so that's what we're doing here. By the way, if you want a little longer explanation, click the card that should have appeared over my head. It's also down in the description of this video that points to a different ad hoc lab where I went into more depth about how to go about getting your copy of Sim Lite for Volume 1 installed. So the lab I want you to do now, if you've got the product installed and you start it, you'll see a screen like this. It says Pearson up in the upper left. It says CCNA 200-301, exam number, Network Simulator Lite, Volume 1. And if you look at the skill builders, config scenarios, and troubleshooting scenarios, and you click configuration scenarios, you'll see LAN switching. And then on the next page, you see what happens if you were to tap LAN switching. It would explode out to the two free labs included in the configuration scenarios under LAN switching category. And the one we're going to use, and the one I want you to do, is this switch interfaces and forwarding lab. So if you haven't already started it, go ahead and start that up and have that open, and then start the video back. So here we have the app started, and you look and see skill builders as one type, configuration scenarios as the second, troubleshooting scenarios as a third. So if we click configuration scenarios and LAN switching, we see two labs here. And the one I want you to use for our purposes right now is this switch interfaces and forwarding. I could go over to the right and click start lab, or you could just double click over here where it says switch interfaces and forwarding. So now we see the lab topology in the top, and we see the console in the bottom, and we see the detailed lab steps. If I click proceed, I'll get a blow up of the detailed lab steps, and it hides the overview. The overview is where it told us things like your password is CS all the way around. That's always a handy thing to know. So I'm just going to point out a few things, and I'm going to let you go ahead and do the lab. This button down here is nice because it resizes the lab topology, and then if you resize the console, it resizes the lab topology as well. Like for instance, I wanted to make the console area a little bit bigger there. You could type the password CS eventually and get into the switch, for instance. Now, I was ignoring the lab steps, but you figure it's going to want you to get into the console. In fact, step one is connect to the simulator and move to enable mode. Now, it doesn't tell me how to get to enable mode. It's assuming that I have better skills now versus a skill builder lab. So enable and type CS, and I'm in privilege mode now. Then it tells me to try a few show commands. And at step 3, it says use commands like show interfaces to find the answer, and it tells me to enter my answer. Now, eventually you might think, hey, I don't really want to enter an answer, but I'd like to check my answer, but the check my answer is really light there. It's not enabled. So if you just type anything in the enter answer, it enables the check my answer, and you can click and see what the lab thinks the right answer is if you just want to see what the lab thinks. And in particular, this next step says, hey, predict any interface subcommands that you expect are currently configured in switch 1 after doing a command like show interfaces. So if you were to do a show interfaces status, for instance, you'd see 3 interfaces in a disabled state. Let's see another disabled one down there. That's the one-word status code that we've talked about in the instructional video. And we could do show interfaces F01. We see administratively down and down. And what the lab is asking us to do is fill out table 1. And table 1 just showed up in the upper part of the lab. So you could type in what the status is for all of these and figure out what the speed and duplex is for each of these interfaces and fill it out and embrace the lab exercise and work through it. Or you could say, hey, I just want to see what they said, and you could check your answer. Just type, any old letters in there and see what it says. Hey, all the interfaces have a shutdown command configured, but no other config commands, for example. All right, so I've just given you a little bit of a walkthrough of those first few steps. Oh, one last thing here. You'll see this icon show up occasionally, and you can click that, and it gives you a hint. Now I'll turn you loose. So that's enough of me walking through it. You should do this lab at some point. You could do it right now or put it off till you let a few days pass for you to forget a few things, but this is a great lab for review. So you know about this lab in the CCNA Network Simulator Lite from Pearson. If you want to know more about the commands you'd be using in that lab before you get into the lab, click on the left, and that'll bring you to the instructional video about those topics. If you want another lab, but one you can do in Cisco Packet Tracer, I actually made an ad hoc lab using Cisco Packet Tracer on some of these same CLI commands, so you click on the right to find the videos setting you up with that ad hoc lab. Hey, thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you soon.